Picture a stick figure at a desk, treating English the way it was taught in school. A thick textbook, a worksheet covered in red corrections, a test with a grade at the top. It studies for years. It memorizes rules, passes exams, collects certificates, and it still cannot hold a simple conversation. Not because it isn't smart, and not because it didn't work hard, but because it has been doing the wrong thing the entire time. Studying a language instead of using one. English is not a subject. It is a language, and those two things could not be more different. For the next few minutes, I want to give you one idea, really just one, but it might be the most important shift you ever make with English. Stop treating it as a subject to master, and start treating it as a language to live in. I'll give you 7 ways that single change rewrites everything about how you practice. None of them need a classroom. All of them ask you to think about English differently than school trained you to. First, the core difference. A subject is something you study, get tested on, and eventually finish. History, chemistry. You learn the material, you sit the exam, and then you are done with it. A language is none of those things. You never finish a language, you simply live in it. There is no final exam in a conversation. So when you treat English like chemistry, drilling, memorizing, testing, you build a very specific kind of person, someone who knows a great deal about English but cannot actually use it. And knowing about a language and speaking it are as different as reading a book about swimming and jumping into the water. This week, ask yourself one question every time you sit down to practice. Am I doing this to pass a test or to say something real? If the honest answer is the test, change the activity. Replace one drill with one real use. Send a message, leave a comment, say a single sentence out loud to another person. Second, and this is the one that should give you hope. You have already done this once. You already mastered a language completely, your first one. And you did it with 0 grammar lessons, 0 vocabulary lists, and 0 exams. You were simply surrounded by it. You needed it to get the things you wanted. You used it badly for years, and no one stamped your sentences wrong. That same language machine is still running inside you. It never switched off. School quietly convinced you that languages come from study. They do not. They come from contact, from need, and from use. Every child on earth proves it. For 1 week, give English the same conditions a child had, a lot of input you genuinely enjoy, very low pressure, and a little real use. 20 minutes of something you actually like, in English, and 1 real message sent to a real person. No grading, no score. Just contact, the way you had it the first time. Third, the goal is to be understood, not to be correct. Here is something fluent speakers know that learners forget. Native speakers break grammar rules in almost every sentence. They use the wrong tense. They drop words, they start over halfway through. And communication still happens perfectly, because communication was always the actual point. A sentence with 3 mistakes that get your meaning across is a success. A flawless sentence you were too afraid to say is a failure. Correctness is a pleasant bonus. Being understood is the entire job. Today, say or write one thing in English where your only goal is that the other person understands you. Not that it is perfect. A question, a request, a comment online. If they understood, you won. Grammar can always be tidied up later. Communication cannot be postponed until you feel ready. Fourth, grammar is the map, not the engine. Most learners believe grammar is what builds sentences, that you speak by applying rules in real time. You do not. No fluent speaker is consciously conjugating verbs in the middle of a sentence. Grammar is not the engine of speech, it is a map of it. And a map describes a city that already exists. It does not build the city. Grammar describes the patterns that already live in the language. It is useful to glance at when you are lost, and useless to memorize street by street. You come to know the city by walking it, not by studying the map of it. Instead of studying a grammar rule in the abstract, find it alive in real English. When you meet a structure you don't understand, collect 3 real examples of it from things you read or watch. Let the repeated pattern teach you. The way a city teaches you its streets once you've walked them a few times. Fifth, a language is a skill, not knowledge. Knowledge is something you store and recall. Capital cities, dates, formulas. A skill is something your body learns to do. Swimming, driving, riding a bicycle. And you cannot learn to ride a bicycle by reading about balance. You learn by climbing on, wobbling, falling, and trying again, until one day your body simply knows how. English is the bicycle, not the book about the bicycle, not the book about the bicycle. Every hour you spend only reading about the language and never producing it is an hour you spend studying balance while never getting on the bike. Choose the most active version of practice you can find. Not reading about English, making it. Speak a sentence. Write a short paragraph. Repeat a line out loud after a video. Get on the bike. Wobbling counts. Falling counts. Quietly reading the manual one more time does not. Sixth, chase, meaning not words. When beginners listen or read, they try to catch every single word, and the instant they miss one they freeze, and the whole rest of the sentence washes past them unheard. Fluent listeners do the exact opposite. They grab the overall meaning and let the unknown words sit there, unbothered, filling themselves in from context. You understood hundreds of words as a child long before you could ever define them. Meaning comes first. The precise details arrive later, on their own. Hunting every word is the surest way to lose the whole sentence. Next time you watch or read in English, resist the urge to look up every unfamiliar word. Just follow the story. Only stop for a word if you've seen it several times and it keeps blocking your understanding. Practice being comfortable not understanding everything. That comfort is itself a core language skill. Seventh, and maybe the most important of all, the fastest learners do not have more discipline than you. They have more reasons. They use English for something they genuinely want. A game, a band, a person, a job, an online community they want to belong to. The language quietly stops being homework and becomes the door to a thing they love. And purpose does what willpower never can. It makes you show up without having to force yourself. Find the thing on the other side of English that you actually want, and a surprising amount of the studying simply takes care of itself. Name one thing you would genuinely love to do that English unlocks. Follow a creator, play a game, talk to a specific person, read something you care about. Then go do that thing in English this week. Do not study English. Do the thing. Let the language be the means to it, never the goal itself. So here is the whole shift. In a single line, stop studying English and start using it. It is not a subject you pass. It is a language you live in. And you already own the machine that learns languages. You proved that once as a child with no textbook at all. Give it contact, give it a reason, and let yourself be understood long before you let yourself be correct. The grammar will follow the speaking, the way a map follows the city. Use the language badly and often, and one day you will notice it has quietly become yours. If this was useful, there are more like it on the channel. Take care of yourself this week.